It seems like the game design field should be a space that's comfortable for introverts. One that acknowledges that there are different types of people, and not all of us are as comfortable in meetings or at parties as others might be. And yet, like so many industries, the games industry is kinda designed for extroverts. So today, we're going to talk about how to make a company run better, while at the same time making it a more comfortable, more productive space for those among us who find large social situations draining. Real quick up top, today's episode was written by fellow game designer Renato Perezzari da Silva. Thanks, Renato. To begin, it's important to understand that introversion and extroversion exist on a complex personality spectrum. However, for this video, we're going to be focusing specifically on the classic perception of an introvert and how we as friends and coworkers can acknowledge their needs. And that starts by dispelling some common myths about all introverts. Myth 1. All introverts are shy. This is false. Being an introvert doesn't mean that someone is shy. It just means they gain energy from being alone, and it takes energy to interact with crowds of people that they don't know, which could mean they're less inclined to small talk, and that people have to work a little harder to engage them in a conversation. And once that's understood, it can make communicating with introverts easy and streamlined. An introvert might not want their boss or coworker to start a conversation with casual chit-chat, like if they saw the game last night, talking about the weather, or if they're going to the company party. Most likely, they'd rather talk about what's immediately on their minds, like the work, something that they're definitely invested in. In fact, they're more likely to be receptive going from talking about work to small talk, or having a personal conversation than the other way around. Myth 2. Introverts can't be leaders. To dispel this one, look across the spectrum of tech companies, and you'll see that this is obviously untrue. Holding introverts back from leadership positions is counterproductive. It just has to be understood that an introvert's leadership style will be slightly different than that of extroverts. For instance, more focus on deeper one-on-one communication and possibly less team events. Myth 3. Introverts don't like to talk. Many introverts love to talk. They just may want more focused conversations because trying to converse about nothing can feel draining or overwhelming. And having a more casual conversation with an introvert can require trust and openness that isn't common right away. Which leads us to Myth 4. Introverts don't like me. I've run into a lot of people that often feel like the introverts at their company don't like them. This simply isn't true. Well, I mean, it might be true if the person feeling like they're disliked is the kind of jerk microwaving fish in the break room, but you get what I mean. It's just that the signals for like and dislike are often different among introverts and extroverts. Not making small talk, habitually refusing to go out for drinks, and bringing conversations to a close when work-related topics are done can be signs of dislike between extroverts. But for introverts, none of that necessarily means that they don't like you. Perhaps it's just the activities that you're inviting them to are draining for them, so they'll often pass. For an introvert, it can take time to build trust and to determine that they want to pay the emotional cost to socialize. And when they do, please keep in mind that certain venues might be more conducive for them. For instance, a packed bar can be fun, but they don't work for everyone. So what can we do to make the workplace a better, more productive environment for our more introverted friends? First, allow people time and space to think. Very often in current workplace culture, we ask for immediate suggestions in brainstorming sessions and team meetings. While batting ideas around this way works for many people, very often introverts are more comfortable taking some time by themselves and working through an answer before presenting it. So, if possible, send the questions you're trying to answer in your meeting out early so that people have time to mull them over. Also, in the meeting, create spaces for everyone to talk by occasionally asking the group questions like, "Does anyone else have any ideas?" Because otherwise, the loudest voices are often the only ones that get heard. Next, we shouldn't have the majority of our networking events at large parties. Whether it's GDC or a company function, one of the main ways to network in this industry, especially early in your career, is in environments that definitely aren't enjoyable for everyone. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have parties, just that there should be other avenues for networking, like small discussion sessions or knowledge-building groups. Oh, and when you do have parties, you should make sure that no one is penalized for not going, and that the event is easy to leave comfortably. And I know we really shouldn't have to say this, but never try to force a person into staying if they're ready to go. After all, pressuring people into doing things they're uncomfortable with is pretty lame. Another thing we should talk about is how an office is laid out. Because while open office plans might work for some people, they can be especially bad for introverts. To focus, to recharge, to think through problems, introverts often need a space that they can feel is their own, where they don't feel like someone might interrupt them at any moment. Finally, an office should never try to cure introversion. Oftentimes, companies will encourage people to get over their introversion, or even give workshops with titles like Becoming More Extroverted. What they want is for the employee to share more knowledge. But in taking those actions, the company is defaulting to giving the extroverted answer to the problem. Remember, introverted employees might achieve the same goal in different ways. Maybe doing one-on-one sessions with peers and supervisors, or doing detailed documentation on their work and their process. Being an introvert isn't a weakness or a disability. It's just a different way of operating. One that comes with many of its own strengths, that a company and an industry might lose out on if they think solely in terms of extroverted work habits. So, if you want your company to be a more productive, healthier space, don't try to fix introverts, but instead, be a part of creating an environment where they can thrive. See you next week, everybody.